Wait, what are you saying? You're saying that the new H-1B rules essentially means that I can't get a job in the US after graduation? Dude, you can't be serious. I've taken a hefty education loan to fund this education. I'm going to be caught in a debt trap if I don't get a job in the US. Is it the end of the American dream? I think this is a question which is on the mind of any non-American who's looking to either study or work in the US. And in this video, I will expound on this topic so as to ease some nerves and bust some popular myths. So firstly, I'll give you a brief overview of what the topic is all about and why the American dream might be in jeopardy. So on the 19th of September, US President Donald Trump passed an executive order which essentially mandated companies to pay $100,000 visa fee in an attempt to roll their employees on an H-1B visa. Now, this order was pretty inchoate in terms of what it entailed and consequently led to a lot of pandemonium all across the international community. It sent shockwaves all across the international community because initially there was a conception that this 100K fee would have to be paid each and every single time an H-1B application would have to be filed. And now, just to put this in perspective, companies were already very hesitant to be sponsoring individuals. I've experienced this firsthand having been in the US. Companies that found out that you need sponsorship would reject you on the spot and would not even consider you for an interview. And this was when the H-1B fee was about a few $1,000s, maybe $2,000 or $3,000. Now if you were to juxtapose this fee to the current 100K fee, it essentially means that companies are pretty much not going to be interested in taking you on as an H-1B visa holder. However, the White House clarified that the payment of this fee is going to be a one-time fee as opposed to fee every single time that you file for an application. Now, it's a little unclear about whether this change was mandated as a result of public pressure or whether it was the intention all along. But either ways, that does provide some relief, though not quite, because again, like I said, companies that were not even willing to hire you for a 2 or 3K application fee are essentially ruling you out as potential employees. So now let's talk about why this executive order was passed in the first place. So President Donald Trump believes that the H-1B system has been exploited terribly by companies and by consultants who are looking to help students get jobs in the US. Now, whether that's true or not is a question for another day. I'm probably going to make a video on that some other day in the interest of time. So, but here's the thing, who do you think is affected the most by these visas? As per US data, about 70% of H-1B holders are Indians, which is by far the most out of any nationality in the world. And then they're followed by Chinese citizens who constitute about 10% of H-1B visas. And these H-1B visas are traditionally employed by tech companies such as Microsoft, Google, Apple. But having said that, they are not limited to just the tech industries, and because a lot of other companies employing in other industries are also employing the H-1B visa, such as fields in finance, management consulting, healthcare. When this order was passed on the 19th of September, it essentially meant that anyone who's applying for a visa after the 21st of September would have to pay the 100K fee. And this brought about pandemonium all across people who are working in the US. Now let's address the elephant in the room. I think the biggest concern for people who are already in the US on an H-1B visa studying in the US is whether this new law applies to them. Again, now there was not a lot of clarity in the initial few days, which is why I'm glad that I waited out a few days. And now it's become pretty clear the Trump administration has cleared that the H-1B fee is not applicable for those who are already on their H-1B or are looking to renew their H-1B. In addition to that, and this probably might be the biggest game changer for a lot of students in the US, is that as of my understanding, people who are looking to shift their visa, looking to change their visa status, are not going to be coming under the purview of this 100K fee. What does that mean? Now, this I cannot underscore how crucial this is for international students, especially those who are already in the US and were worried about how they're going to get an ROI out of their expensive, really expensive foreign education. So when you go to the US as a student, you go on an F1 visa. And now, based on my understanding, if you were to change your status from an F1 visa to an H1B visa after your OPT status, it essentially means that you are exempted from the 100K fee, which in a sense means that students who are in the US, as long as you can get a job, you do not have to worry. This in a sense means is that students who are looking for jobs in the US, this does not directly impact your chances of landing a job, because for now at least this law does not apply to you. So if you're already a student in the US, I would implore you to ease your nerves and go about pursuing your foreign education and looking for a job thereafter, because this does not apply to you. But having said that, for people who are not currently in the US and are looking for foreign education, I think in my humble opinion, this is probably not the best time to be exploring US as a study abroad option. Another reason for this is the proposed change in the H-1B allocation, which is proposed to be moving away from a lottery system to a wage-based system. In fact, I've made an entire video talking about this, which you can find on the top right-hand side of your screen, right about here, and which makes the US a lot less desirable than it was a few years back. Another clarification that I have read is that the fee is not applicable for applications for this current fiscal year, which ends on the 30th of September, which so essentially any applications which are being made for the next fiscal year will be coming under the purview of the H-1B visa. Of course, this does not include those who are already on an F1 visa. So when this order was initially passed, there was a lot of confusion about whether existing H-1B holders were also subject to this fee or not, which is obviously cleared now, but back then it wasn't. And that meant a lot of companies implored their individuals, their employees, to come back to the US in case they're traveling outside, so as to ensure that they do not have to pay the 100K fee, which essentially would mean that they would lose their jobs, which led to pandemonium all over the world. And what was particularly upsetting was that there was a phenomenon called clogging the toilet, where certain right-wing extremists in the US were purposely booking seats from India to the US so as to ensure that these employees cannot make it back in time, which I think is a very cruel and inhumane act. But again, that's a topic for another day. However, thankfully that has been done away with, and current H-1B visa holders do not have to worry about travel. However, when it comes to travel, there are certain gray areas which must be addressed. And in case you are on your H-1B visa and are looking to renew, I think based on my understanding, it would be best if you do not travel outside the US before you get that renewal. Just for instance, the new fee is targeted at new visa applicants residing outside the US. That raises questions about whether current H-1B visa holders who are applying for changes such as a visa renewal or a change of employer might be caught up in the new requirement if they leave the US. For now, immigration attorneys to advise their employees not to travel if they're looking for a visa extension, which is fair given that it is a very volatile system as of now. Another exception when it comes to the 100K fee is for industries which come under national security. Now what industries come under the purview of national security is still up for debate, and we still do not have clarity on that. But there are talks making the rounds that the President Donald Trump is considering exempting the medical industry from this 100K fee, especially because there seems to be a dearth of medical professionals in the US, which could again be absolutely disastrous in terms of national security, because health is a national security concern. So what has the global reaction to this been? Even after the rules have been cleared, a lot of people are still hesitant to go to the US for education or even to work, simply because they feel like there is not a sense of stability that the country offers that it did in the past. And other countries have taken notice, and countries like the UK, Germany, and even Canada are considering relaxing their immigration reforms so as to ensure that they can get the best talent from all over the world. In fact, even a country like China, which has majorly homogeneous population in terms of nationalities, also considering opening up its borders and making immigration reforms a lot easier. And if this does indeed happen, it could represent a barometric shift in terms of the new world order, because in my opinion, and from what I have experienced, the unique selling proposition of the US is that it attracts the best talent in the world. And if other countries are going to start stepping in, especially a country like China, which is on the rise at the moment, it could cause major concerns in terms of who the true superpower in the world is today. That's about it, guys. I think there was a lot of confusion, a lot of canards, a lot of rumors in terms of who the H-1B fee is applicable for, and I hope that this video provides you some sort of clarity. Again, this video is being recorded as of the 29th of September, evening time IST, and given that this is such a dynamic topic, I'm sure there will be new developments for the same. I will try to update the comment section in this video so as to have the most updated information. But to ensure that you have the most real-time updates, please follow me on Instagram and on LinkedIn, where you can reach out to me on DMs as well. But especially on my Instagram, I do tend to post a lot of stories which have new updates on the visa situation in the US. And before I sign out, I want to let you guys know that I am in no ways a legal expert. I am not an immigrant attorney. What I have spoken about in this video is based on the reading that I have done, and I will be linking all the articles that I have referred to in the description below so that you can go and check it out for yourself. Again, this channel talks about my personal, professional, and academic experiences and views. So in case these are topics of interest for you, please do consider subscribing to the channel and switching on bell notifications. And if you like this video, if you thought it was insightful, please leave me one of these. It helps with the algorithm of the channel, guys, and it also ensures that we can build a community around this channel. Again, I would like to reiterate that this channel is real talk only, cloud free, absolutely cloud free, and is a small effort from my side in terms of trying to provide some value for my audience. I hope this video eases the nerves of a lot of international students who might have wondered whether they are in a conundrum at this point. Long story short, you're not. As of now, you can relax. But for those who are looking at foreign study abroad options, I would implore you to look at other options till this tide settles down. So that's about it. I shall see you very, very soon. Until next time, real talk only.